Darkness. That is usually the first thing you expect. A deep, dreamless void. A gap in time where you simply do not exist. That is the promise of anesthesia. You count backward from 10. You reach 7. Then you wake up in a recovery room. The surgery is over. The pain is managed. You are safe. But for some, the promise is broken. For some, the darkness lifts too soon. But the body remains asleep. This is not a nightmare. This is not a movie. This is a medical reality known as anesthesia awareness. And for the people who experience it, it is a trauma that never truly ends. Imagine you're lying on a cold steel table. Your eyes are taped shut. You cannot see, but you can hear. You hear the rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor. You hear the clinking of metal instruments on a tray. You hear voices, casual voices, people talking about their weekend plans, about a football game, about lunch. You try to take a breath. You cannot. There's a tube down your throat. A machine is breathing for you. You try to move your hand, to lift a finger, to signal that you are there. Nothing happens. Your brain sends a command, but the wire is cut. You are a ghost trapped inside your own corpse. And then you feel the cold touch of iodine on your skin. You feel the pressure of the knife. And then you feel the cut. David was a man who trusted the system. He was 45 years old, a father of 2. He worked as an accountant. He was a man of logic and numbers. He needed a routine exploratory surgery. He had been experiencing abdominal pain. The doctors suspected a blockage. It was supposed to be simple, a 2-hour procedure, a standard general anesthetic. He kissed his wife goodbye in the pre-op area. He joked with the nurse about the hospital gown. He met the anesthesiologist, Dr. Evans, a man with steady hands and a calm voice. David felt safe. He climbed onto the operating table. He felt the cold rush of the drugs entering his fore. He felt the heavy weight of sleep pulling him down. He closed his eyes. He expected to wake up in the recovery room. He expected to see his wife's smiling face. Instead, he woke up in hell. It started with a sound, a sharp mechanical hiss. It was the ventilator. David's mind snapped back into focus. He was confused. Was it over? Why was it so dark? He tried to open his eyes. The lids felt like they were glued shut. He tried to ask a question. Is it done? But no words came out. His tongue was a dead weight in his mouth. His jaw was locked. Panic began to rise in his chest. A cold, hard spike of adrenaline. He tried to kick his legs. Nothing. He tried to wiggle his toes. Nothing. He was completely, utterly paralyzed. He could hear the surgeon, Dr. Miller. He was standing right above him. Scalpel, the doctor said. The word hung in the air. David's mind screamed, "No, wait, I'm awake. Stop." He screamed it with every ounce of his will. But the scream echoed only in the silent chamber of his skull. To the outside world, David was a sleeping body. His heart rate was stable. His blood pressure was normal. He looked peaceful. Then came the sensation. It wasn't pain at first. It was pressure, a distinct, dragging sensation across his abdomen. It felt like a finger tracing a line. Then the line turned to fire. The pain was immediate. It was absolute. It was not dull. It was not distant. It was the sensation of being sliced open alive. It was raw nerve endings being severed. David tried to pass out. He tried to retreat back into the darkness. But the chemicals in his brain kept him tethered to the moment. He was chemically locked in a state of hyper-awareness. He felt the skin part. He felt the muscle layer being retracted. It was a violation of the most primal kind. His body wanted to thrash, to fight, to run. That is the biological response to pain. But the drugs had stolen that from him. He was under the influence of a neuromuscular blocker. This is a standard part of the anesthesia cocktail. It paralyzes the muscles. It prevents the patient from moving during delicate surgery. It makes the surgeon's job easier. But without the unconsciousness to go with it, it becomes a prison. It turns the body into a cage. The surgery continued. Minutes felt like hours. Every second was an eternity of agony. David counted the seconds to keep his sanity. He focused on the voices. They were talking about a new restaurant in town. The contrast was shattering. He was being tortured. He was experiencing the worst pain a human can endure. And the people inflicting it were discussing appetizers. It made him feel subhuman, like a piece of meat on a butcher's block. He felt the surgeon's hands inside him, moving organs, exploring. The sensation was wet and heavy. The pain came in waves. Sharp, tearing spikes followed by a deep, throbbing ache. He wondered if he would die. He hoped he would die. Death seemed like a mercy compared to this. He prayed for his heart to stop. Just let it stop, he thought. Let the monitor flatline. Then they will notice me. But his heart didn't stop. The heart rate monitor didn't even race. This is one of the terrifying mysteries of anesthesia awareness. Sometimes, the drugs dampen the autonomic response. The body doesn't show the signs of distress. The blood pressure stays stable. The heart rate remains rhythmic. The patient is screaming in a silent void, and the machines report that everything is fine. David started to dissociate. His mind couldn't handle the reality. He started to hallucinate. He saw flashes of color behind his eyelids. Red, angry red, then black. He thought about his children. He thought he would never see them again. He thought this was his punishment for some unknown sin. The psychological toll was mounting with every stitch. Then, he heard the sound of the stapler. Click, 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 closing the wound. The surgery was ending. The pain shifted from a sharp cutting sensation to a tight, pulling burn. He felt the tape being applied to his skin. He felt the drapes being pulled away. "Good job, everyone," Dr. Miller said. "Let's get him to recovery." The movement from the table to the gurney was jarring. Every bump sent a shockwave of pain through his fresh wound. But the worst was over, or so he hoped. The paralytic drugs began to wear off slowly. First, he felt a twitch in his finger, then a flutter in his eyelid. He fought to open his eyes. He fought to break the seal. In a recovery room, a nurse was checking his vitals. David focused all his energy on his right hand. "Move," he commanded. "Move." His index finger twitched. The nurse didn't notice. He tried again. He tried to make a sound, a moan escaping his throat. It came out as a dry croak. The nurse looked down. "Mr. Johnson, can you hear me?" David opened his eyes. The light was blinding. He gasped for air. He didn't say hello. He didn't ask for water. He looked at the nurse with eyes wide with terror. "I felt it," he whispered. His voice was broken. "I felt everything." The nurse paused. She looked at the monitor. She looked back at him. "You're just confused, sweetie," she said softly. "That's the anesthesia talking. You were asleep the whole time." This is the second trauma of anesthesia awareness. The disbelief. The medical staff often dismisses the claims. They assume it is a dream, a hallucination. It is hard for a doctor to accept that they inflicted torture on a patient. It is a defense mechanism. But David knew. He could describe the conversation. He told the surgeon later that day about the restaurant, about the football game. The color drained from Dr. Miller's face. The realization hit the room like a bomb. It was real. How does this happen? The science of anesthesia is a delicate balance. It is a triad of drugs. First, a hypnotic to induce unconsciousness, usually propofol, the milk of amnesia. Second, an analgesic to kill pain, like fentanyl. Third, a paralytic to stop movement, like rocuronium. The goal is to keep the patient in the Goldilocks zone. Not too deep, which can stop the heart. Not too light, which risks awareness. But human biology is variable. Some people metabolize drugs faster. Some have genetic resistance. Sometimes the equipment fails. A pump malfunctions. A tube gets kinked. The hypnotic wears off, but the paralytic stays strong. The brain wakes up, but the body stays frozen. It is a statistical rarity. It happens in about 1 or 2 out of every 1,000 surgeries. That sounds low, until you realize there are millions of surgeries every year. That means thousands of people wake up every single year. Most cases are brief. A fleeting memory of a voice, a sensation of pressure. But for the unlucky few like David, it is a full, conscious experience of the entire procedure. The aftermath for David was devastating. He survived the surgery physically. His abdomen healed. The scar faded to a white line, but his mind was shattered. He was diagnosed with severe post-traumatic stress disorder. He couldn't sleep without lights on. He couldn't stand the sound of silence. It reminded him of the void. He couldn't wear tight clothes. The sensation of fabric against his skin triggered panic attacks. It felt like the surgical drapes. He developed a phobia of doctors, of hospitals. He refused to go to the dentist. He refused to take even simple painkillers. The trust was broken. He became withdrawn. The man who loved numbers and logic could not reconcile what had happened. There was no logic in it, only cruelty. Researchers are trying to fix this. They use brainwave monitors now, devices like the BAS monitor. It measures the electrical activity of the brain. It gives a number from 0 to 100. Under 60 means you are asleep. Over 60 means you are waking up. It is supposed to be a safety net, an early warning system, but it is not perfect. Artifacts can interfere. Muscle tension can skew the reading. The technology is not a guarantee. There is also the isolated forearm technique. A doctor puts a tourniquet on one arm before injecting the paralytic. That arm doesn't get paralyzed. If the patient wakes up, they can move that one hand. They can signal for help. It is a simple, low-tech solution, but is rarely used. It is considered inconvenient. David's story serves as a chilling reminder. We surrender total control when we go under the knife. We sign the waiver. We trust the person in the mask. We trust the clear liquid in the syringe. We assume the darkness will hold. But the darkness is fragile. The human mind is resilient, but it has breaking points. To be awake while being cut open is to touch the very edge of that breaking point. It forces us to confront our ultimate vulnerability. We are biology. We are chemistry. And when the chemistry fails, we are alone in the most profound way possible. David eventually found a support group. He met others. A woman who felt her C-section. A soldier who felt his amputation. They call themselves the Awake. They share their stories. They validate each other's pain. They know the truth that the rest of us try to ignore. Surgery is a miracle of modern medicine. It saves countless lives. It fixes broken hearts and removes deadly tumors. But for the Awake, it is the site of their greatest horror. They walk among us, carrying a secret burden. They look normal, but inside, a part of them is still strapped to that table. A part of them is still screaming in the silence. A part of them is still waiting for the surgery to end. Next time you count backward from 10, remember David. Hope for the darkness. Embrace the void. Because the alternative is a world of bright lights, sharp steel, and a silent, paralyzed scream that no one can hear. The horror isn't dying on the table. The horror is surviving it, fully awake, trapped in a prison of your own flesh.